Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, hope you're doing well. Today's video is the top 10 questions that car dealers hate, or top 10 things that car dealers hate to hear. This is all a bit tongue-in-cheek really, don't take it too seriously. I just realised that some of you guys enjoyed my rants in some of the previous car videos I've done, and I thought this might be a bit of an interesting video. These are just things that I have to deal with day to day, or certainly did more when I was actually doing more of the car selling side of things. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with these questions. So if you've asked these questions, they're probably all legitimate. And I probably asked them myself as well. So don't take it too personally. These are just things that you have to answer over and over again. And after a while you think, God, I'm sick of answering these questions. So in no particular order, I've got my 10 questions or 10 things. These are just the 10 that I could think of while I was lying in bed this morning after the dog had got me up and I couldn't get back to sleep. Number one on my list is how much for cash? Customers asking how much discount they can get for paying with physical cash for a car. Cash is king, of course, is a phrase we hear a lot. Well, let me tell you why cash isn't king. A, it's not 1980. B, I've got to pay to put that cash into the bank. C, I've got to count the cash. So you've got to sit there and count through and make sure it's all right and check that it's all real. Then someone's going to have to go to the post office or the bank and pay that cash in, stand there in a queue and, you know, let's say it's £8,000. You go up to the little lady in the post office and say, can I pay some cash in, please? Of course you can, darling. And you say, how much have you got? It's £8,000. And they sort of look at you and alarm bells are going off, like drug dealer, fraud. So there are all those things to deal with. It also means there's a time delay, like literally going in, the physical going in, paying it in, versus just getting a bank transfer. Anyone who's running a legitimate business and is keeping a genuine set of books on a stock book, etc., is not going to just stick that cash in their back pocket. I can't anyway, even if I wanted to. That needs to be recycled into more stock. It's not just cash to stick in my pocket and have a profit out of. It just doesn't work that way. So yeah, we get that a lot. And all I can say is, look, I won't charge you any more. It'll be the same price, even though it's going to cost me more, really. It will cost me more in fees to pay that cash into the bank than it will to take credit card payments even, you know. But obviously a bank transfer is free. So yeah, that's question number one. Question number two would be, how much is it to insure? Customer comes in, they're looking at a car and they say, how much is that one to insure? It's pretty much in lines with what insurance group is it, and you think to yourself, I'll look here on the computer now for you and tell the insurance group, but I certainly don't know how that insurance group's going to affect you and your insurance, so I highly doubt that you do, and I can't tell you how much it's going to be for you to insure because you are the biggest variable in the cost of your insurance. So for me to insure privately, for example, something like my Porsche 911 would cost me about £15 per month or something. It's ridiculously low, but for someone else, say one of the lads who works here got a quote for one of our Audi S5s, for example, and it was about £8,000 a year. So I can't tell you, you know, the best thing you can do is go to a Go Compare, compare the market, that type of thing, do some quotes, get some examples. And, you know, how long does it take you to do? If you fill out one quote on Go Compare, for example, for a car, doesn't matter. Pick one off of Auto Trader, something you might be interested in, and you will get an idea before you even go and look at the car. That's the way I would do it. I will know exactly how much it's going to cost me. And then if you get somewhere and you decide, oh, I might be interested in another car, I want to know how much that's going to be to insure, you can go and edit that quote. And the only thing you need to change is the number plate of the car, put it in, refresh your quotes, and in 20 seconds, you're going to know pretty much how much that's going to cost you to insure it for a year. So that is the way I would do it. You know, I can't tell you how much it's going to cost to insure your car. Number three, how many owners has it had? This is just a personal kind of bugbear for me, I suppose. Customers really thinking that there is a direct and huge correlation between the number of owners a car's had and the quality of a car. We get this a lot with like performance cars, convertibles, things like that, where people decide they want one perhaps for a summer or two and then they sell them. They're the cars that tend to sort of change hands, you know, fairly regularly, more than perhaps say someone who's bought a high-end i10 and it sits on the driveway and it's just something, it's just a car that fulfills a purpose and it stays with them forever. But that doesn't mean because it's had multiple owners, say 6 owners in its lifetime, that it's been less well cared for than a one-owner car. I guess we're in the position where we can see, but you'll get cars that come in and they're one owner from new and they've probably never serviced it in their entire life. The car is filthy, it's beaten from pillar to post, and it's a horrible car. And then you'll get something that is on 7 or 8 owners and it's a nice little convertible. Every single one of them, it's been their absolute pride and joy for the year or two that they've owned it. They've been right on top of servicing. They want to keep it up because they know it's something they're going to sell in a year or two. So servicing, bodywork, maintenance, keeping it clean, those things are really important because they know in a year or two they're going to sell it. They're going to want to get their best money back for it again. And those cars can be well and truly well looked after. Sometimes it can be kind of disheartening if someone says, how many owners has it had? And you say, well, this SLK has had 5 owners. And they're like, ooh, oh, that's a lot, isn't it? And you think, well, it's not really. I can understand why you would think that sounds a lot for, say, a 10-year-old car. You know, oh, people keep changing it, there must be something wrong with it. Well, no, most people probably decide they can't afford to keep a second car or run it, etc., etc. So it's just a bugbear for me that can be a huge deciding factor and an absolute deal killer for some people. And I really don't feel like it should be. The way to judge a car is service history, do a history check, you know, HPI. I actually have access. People keep recommending Car Vertical to me because I'm clearly not checking cars on the odd occasion and making mistakes on cheap part exchanges. I do have access to Experian HPI checks, an unlimited amount for free. I just forget to use them occasionally, I guess because we buy quite a lot of cars. So those sorts of things, you know, the condition of the car and the history is far more important than the number of owners, in my humble opinion. Question number 4 that I hate the most would be, how much would it be without a warranty? People trying to get a discount for the car without a warranty, and it just doesn't work that way. As probably a lot of you will know, with Consumer Rights Act, someone selling a car as a business, and I think even to a degree as a private seller these days, you know, you have a responsibility for that car to make sure that it's fit for purpose for the next, you know, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. There are different stages for different things depending on what the product is. But with cars, I think it's fair to say for the 6 months, it needs to be fit for purpose. So someone saying, I don't want a warranty and I want a discount. And don't get me wrong, in my earlier days when I was selling cars, especially lower value cars, it's tempting to try and get a sale done, especially if you're going to knock, you know, a couple £100 off because they really want a discount. To not have a warranty. Now, I'm not going to come back if anything goes wrong with it. I know cars, I'm sure it'll be all right or whatever. Just the worst mistake you can ever make. If you're ever thinking about getting into this game, don't do it. Just don't discount for that sort of thing, because not only will they come back and expect you to do it and tell you that it is your responsibility to do it anyway, but these types of people who are saying they don't want a warranty, they're also going to be the most difficult customers ever. In my experience, they're going to be the most aggressive, they're going to be the most demanding, the most accusatory, that's not even a word, is it? The most accusation, they're not going to be the easiest to deal with, in my experience. You know, they're just, oh, you tried to sell it to me without a warranty, and you try to explain, well, no, you asked for it to not have a warranty, and you've had a discount. So, you know, the money that I would have spent repairing it, you've already had in a discount, and of course you still have to end up repairing it anyway, so you've given this fool a discount for no reason whatsoever, and they're still going to got you over a barrel basically, and you're going to have to do it anyway. So yeah, that's a pet peeve, and I would say we don't do that. You know, if you're not only paying for a car from us, you're paying for a service and a level of service and care, which is why you would come to us and pay the asking price that we're asking. We've already figured it out. We already know the market value. We've already factored into the price that we are bound to make sure that car is fit for purpose for the next 6 months. So you can't just deduct that, because you also can't sign away your rights to do that. Number 5 would be, where did the car come from? Customer wants to know the history of the car. That's fair enough. I guess the only reason I tend to have an issue with this problem, or I don't like hearing it, is because a lot of our cars do come from auction, as most cars on most forecourts do, to be honest. This is the cycle of car sales. they get part exchanged somewhere else and they get sent through the auctions. That's just how a lot of the big main dealers, etc., work now. There's not as much small dealer and main dealer relationships as there used to be, where you would go to your local main dealer, BMW or Volkswagen, and say, look, I'm a local trader, I'm interested in buying your part exchanges, I will buy whatever you have as long as I can afford it within, say, this price range. And they might have a few dealers and they'll phone around and say, who wants this, who wants that, and you try and, you know, do your best with that dealer to say, I'll take the crap with the good stuff, I'll get rid of it, it's a job done for you. But tends to be what's happened these days is higher ups have said everything goes to auction. That's the only fair way. We don't have to worry about dealing with dealers or anyone complaining, and it all goes to auction. The reason why hearing this question can be a bit of a pain, sometimes I just think, I know exactly what's going to happen here. If I say this car's come from auction, then the customer will be like, oh, it's almost like a dirty word, and customers don't like hearing that their car may have been through an auction, as if that means something bad. Truth is, most cars have probably at some point. But you could also say it's come from a main dealer part exchange and we've ended up with it. Sometimes that's good enough. Sometimes people are outright saying, oh, you know, has it come from an auction? And if someone asks me, we'll say, yes, it has come from an auction. It's come from so-and-so. It was in this group of auctions, which normally means it's come from either this X, Y, or Z, or it's come from We Buy Any Car a lot of the time. Some are okay with that. Some will be downright to the point where they say, yeah, no, I'm happy with the car, as long as it hasn't come from an auction we've had before. And in that case, actually, I said, it has actually. Yeah, no, we did buy it. We did buy it from an auction, but then, you know, the same story I've just said, most cars do, and it doesn't mean anything, and they did still buy the car. So I guess we put their mind at ease. But that's the only reason I don't like that question, is just because there is a chance that people are going to be like, oh, it came from an auction, as if like it's a cheap and easy way of doing business. But trust me, dealing with auctions and auction cars is not cheap or easy. Number 6 on my list is not a question, it's just a statement from a customer saying, there's no rush whenever the car's ready. When we sell a car, 9 times out of 10, because we've got a few cars on the forecourt, we haven't MOT'd them, or perhaps we haven't had time to service them just yet. So we will say to customers, give us 7 days maximum. We will get the car serviced, MOT'd, PDI'd. If it needs any bits like tyres, etc. like that, we would do it, and we'll arrange a collection day with you and make sure the car's clean for when you come to collect it. And sometimes people say, oh, can I have a cam belt, and can I have this, and can I have extras done? Which we'll say, yes, that's no problem. But it might take us a bit longer. The customer will then say, and this is almost alarm bells ringing in my ears these days, like giant red flags. Yeah, there's no rush, a couple of weeks. I can't even pick it up for a couple of weeks. If a customer is saying that to you, 99% of the time, I guarantee that customer is going to be on the phone within 3 days, and they just want to know how it's going. And you say, oh yeah, no, it's all still progressing. We're still online for, you know, a couple of weeks' time. And they're like, oh, okay, I wasn't sure if it might have been done for this weekend. You're like, I don't think so. You know, oh, okay, well, that's fine. And then the next day the phone will ring again. And these, for some reason, I don't know what the correlation is between a customer saying there's no rush, and then it instantly means that that will be the most rushed and stressful sale you've ever done, and that car prep is going to have to be pushed through so fast that it's unbelievable. Don't ask me why that is, but that's the way it happens. So if I hear that, alarm bells start ringing, and I think, right, we better get onto this as quick as possible. And our 2-week timescale has probably just reduced to a week, otherwise this customer is going to be really unhappy. So number 7 on my list is, why is the mileage so low? It sounds daft, but when we have a low mileage car in stock, it's a question that we get quite often, and it's one of the reasons I actually don't particularly like stocking very low mileage cars. There's a few reasons for that, I suppose. Low mileage cars, very low mileage cars that have done way under the odds for the mileage, say it's 5 years old and done 1,000 miles. You get people, why is it so low? As if I'm going to turn around and say, well, it did have 50,000 miles on it, but we didn't like that mileage, so we just wound it back. Which sometimes I'll even joke and say, why is it so low? Well, we've clocked it. And they'll look at you as if like, oh my God, really? No, it just hasn't been driven. It's fairly straightforward. It hasn't been driven that much. And that is one of the reasons Also, why I don't like stocking them so much. It's usually been owned by an elderly person who very rarely goes out, and if they do, they go to the shop. So the car's not really being used very much. It's not usually getting up to temperature, and it's usually being parked on the wrong side of a bollard somewhere at the shop and then bounced off the driveway wall when it gets home. So although the car's really low mileage, it's usually had a lot of bodywork before it's been sold, or it may be in a rough bodywork state. So in that sense, again, expectations, low mileage doesn't necessarily mean really good. It's a million factors when it comes to used cars, the same as anything else. Don't think just because a car's got low mileage, it's going to be perfect. As I say, it could well have been owned by someone who doesn't drive very often. It's kind of been neglected for that reason. They think, well, I've had it for 5 years, but I've only ever done 1,000 miles, so it's never needed a service in its life, and they've not done it, despite the fact that, you know, it does need it done on time-wise. So yeah, it's one of those questions that seems fairly obvious. Why is the mileage so low? Because it hasn't been driven very far. But I guess people are asking, what's the history of the car? And as far as we can let you know, if we know it, I will explain it without going and breaching GDPR or something. You know, whether we think it was an elderly person, they didn't drive it very much, or someone had it as their second car and whatever. If we know the information, then of course we will divulge whatever isn't kind of giving away someone's personal details. But a lot of the time, if it's come from auction or from a dealer or something like that, then we don't know. So I guess that means I don't know why it hasn't really got low mileage, other than I assume it's not been driven, and perhaps it could be one of these reasons. Most people understand, but again, some people are like, oh, it just seems like it's too low or something's not quite right. And unfortunately, I guess a lot of people don't have a huge amount of trust in used car dealers. Some people out there have ruined it for others, but that's fine. Someone else will buy it. Someone else will have the confidence. But it's just one of those questions you just think, oh, here we go. Number 8 is, again, it's not a question. It's just a statement or a phrase that, it's not that I don't like hearing it, but I feel like it's always got a secret translation. So if a customer comes in and looks at a car and they go away, it's one we've probably all heard. We've got another one to look at, or we've got a couple more to look at and we'll be in touch. The only reason I don't like hearing that is because it is a very long way to say, you will never see me ever again. I'd rather you just say, I don't think it's for me. But if we do change our mind, we'll give you a call. I don't think you need to, I guess it's people trying to be polite and people feel awkward, but I guess you hear it so often, it's such a cliche thing to say, we've got another one to look at. You think, no you haven't. Or maybe you have, but either way, I can guarantee we'll never hear from that person again, so that's the reason I don't like that one. Number 9 is, can I hold the car with a refundable deposit? Or do you take refundable deposits? And I suppose the simple answer is no. That's not really much of a deposit, is it? You want us to take the car off the market for a week or two, turn away anyone else who wants to view it, potentially might buy it, for you to turn up and then say, actually, do you know what, I've changed my mind, or it turns out I didn't have the money, or I can't get the finance in the end, so yeah, can I have my £200 back, please? No, unfortunately. I mean, that just wouldn't make sense for us. There's no reason to do that. And it kind of falls into that same category of the sort of questions like, will you still have it in 3 weeks' time? I have no idea, but I certainly hope not. I honestly, you know, I don't know what to tell you. If you want to leave a deposit for us to hold the car, you know, we normally say, all we take is £200, non-refundable. That'll hold it for a week. Unless you tell us you want to do something more, we'll work with you. But it's just some kind of commitment from the buyer that says, you know, yes, I'm serious. And so long as nothing goes wrong on your end, i.e. the seller, us, the garage, then of course, say it turns out that the engine's blown in the meantime or something, then yes, you will get your money back. But otherwise, why would we? We've taken it off, we've lost out, and then to give you money back, there was just no point in doing it whatsoever. I'd rather leave it on the market, and if it's still here when you want to come view it, and if it's not, then it wasn't meant to be, was it? Last but not least, number 10, it won't break down, will it? Again, it's one of those crystal ball things, isn't it? And I understand. I know I'm coming across as a really miserable old git, which I am. But customers are, it won't break down, will it? I just don't want a car that's going to have any problems or anything. I just don't want any problems. Well, I can't guarantee that. Anyone who guarantees you they will sell you a used or new car and you won't have any problems is lying, or they're hugely naive. All we can say is we can't guarantee that you won't have problems. All we can guarantee is that we will do our utmost to try and help you should something go wrong. You know, we provide you with a warranty, we provide you with breakdown cover. If you're local, we can collect you ourselves. We've got workshops here, so if you can get it back to us, we will look at it. But I can't guarantee that it won't break down. There's just no way. There must be, you know, several thousand moving parts in a car. I can't guarantee that every single one of them is going to be perfect after it's 8 years old and has 50,000 miles on it. You know, I can't say that. I think with a lot of these questions, they're asking one question and probably what they need is an answer to a different question. So if you are in the car trade or you're looking to get in the car trade, I think if someone asks you one question, you always need to have a set response for it. So if a customer says, you know, it won't break down, will it? I won't have problems with it. I don't want to be stranded somewhere. What they're asking is, what are you going to do as and when that happens? Because I don't think anyone really believes that this stuff's never going to happen. There's absolutely zero chance that their car will ever break down. But they're asking, what will be the backup from you? So that's your chance to step in and say, look, we will do this. We've given you breakdown cover. So you phone someone, they will come out and get you, even if we can't get you and it's on a weekend. You've got a warranty. So anything that breaks, as long as it's covered under that warranty, will get fixed. We guarantee that your car will be fit for purpose for 6 months, or you get a refund, basically. It's the same as when you get a customer phone up. They've seen your advert online for your car. They've read through every bit of description, every bit of spec that you've put on there. They've seen all the old MOT records online. They've done a HPI check. They've seen all of that sort of stuff, and they'll phone up and say, can you tell me a little bit about the car? And you think, well, what else could you possibly want to know? There's 100 pictures on Auto Trader. Everything's in that description, right down to when it was serviced, etc., etc. But I think maybe the translation should be, what can you tell me about yourself? So if I get that answer, I would say, well, most of the information's in the advert. If there's anything specific you want to know, of course, let me know and I'll let you know. Otherwise, I don't think I can think of anything else new to tell you about the car. But as a garage, we give you breakdown cover, we give you this, we've got our own workshop, we've got our own technicians, we've been trading here for however long, those sorts of things. So yeah, it's an opportunity to sell yourself rather than the vehicle. So there we have it, guys. That's my mini rant. I was lying in bed this morning, not being able to get back to sleep, and these things were just ticking through my head. So I've come into work early, I put them on camera before all the guys get here to work this morning. So it's not a comprehensive or exhaustive list by any means. There are a multitude of things that annoy me. The list is frankly endless. I'd love to hear from you guys if you are in the trade, or even if you've just been selling cars or anything privately, really. Especially Facebook Marketplace, right? It's like a minefield of best price. It's best price, question mark. And I think best price for who, me or you? So do leave a comment. Let me know your experiences. Let me know what you think. Am I just a miserable old git? Sorry, I don't mean to say that. I am a miserable old git, but is it simply just that, or do I have a point? Otherwise, please do like the video. It really helps out. Make sure you're subscribed. If you've got this far listening to me rant about this rubbish, it would be a waste of your time if you hadn't subscribed. So please do, and I will see you in the next video.